Welcome to Spaceverse, your portal to cosmic adventures. For years, Proxima B sat just beyond our reach, a distant echo in the void, a shadow flickering in the starlight. Orbiting Proxima Centauri, the closest star to our own sun, this rocky world existed more in theory than in certainty. It was a tease from the cosmos, a planet that seemed to exist only in the numbers, hidden within the subtle gravitational wobbles of its parent star. Scientists debated its existence, calling it a statistical anomaly, a fragile signal on the edge of noise, a ghost in the data. But still, we looked. Still, we hoped. To dreamers and astronomers alike, Proxima B was more than a blip, it was a beacon. A world not impossibly far, one that resided within the habitable zone, where liquid water could exist. It offered the tantalizing suggestion that Earth might not be alone. That life, perhaps even intelligent life, might have taken root just 4.2 light-years away. And yet, despite its relative nearness in the grand scale of the universe, it remained elusive. Our instruments strained, our telescopes locked onto its star, and still it hovered on the edge of certainty. It was close enough to stir the imagination, to fill books and headlines and late-night conversations. Yet always just far enough to stay out of reach, like a dream that fades upon waking. Until now. With the James Webb Space Telescope finally locking its powerful infrared eyes onto this elusive world, we expected clarity, maybe even answers. Was there an atmosphere? Water? Life? Instead, what we got was far more unsettling. Because Proxima B didn't just reveal itself. It looked back. What James Webb uncovered wasn't just a habitable planet. It was a world with depth. A history, and signs that it may already be aware of us. Before this, Proxima B was just numbers, orbital speeds, mass, temperature ranges, all wrapped into hopeful simulations. Nothing tangible. But when Webb focused in, everything changed. This wasn't just a dot in the dark anymore. Webb's unmatched mirror precision pierced the veil and showed us a planet with geography, faint but unmistakable. We could see outlines of what might be mountains, valleys, and even dried-up basins where water may have once flowed. Even more surprising, the side facing its star wasn't scorched beyond recognition. It was temperate, layered in shifting shadows, hinting at an atmosphere that can move heat around the planet, much like Earth's own. In that moment, Proxima B stopped being a distant maybe. It became a real place. Then Webb started analyzing the air. And that's when things got weird. Based on its location, hugging an unstable, flare-prone red dwarf, scientists expected Proxima B to be stripped of any atmosphere. The star should have blasted it away long ago. But the data told a different story. Webb picked up an atmosphere that was not only intact, but surprisingly complex. Gases moved across the surface, flowing in patterns uncannily similar to our own jet streams. And among the familiar chemicals like carbon dioxide and water vapor was something else. Something alien. A gas appeared in the data, stable, reactive, and completely out of place. It wasn't something that should naturally exist there. In fact, on Earth, this kind of compound only shows up when life or technology is involved. They called it Unidentified Trace Compound X. It was quietly scrubbed from the public reports. But behind the scenes, it raised serious alarms. This wasn't just an atmosphere. It looked curated, maintained. And if that's the case, then something must be doing the maintaining. Webb's surface scans added to the mystery. Tectonic scars told of ancient shifts. Smooth plains hinted at oceans long gone. But then came features that didn't make geological sense, perfect circles. Symmetrical. Repeating. Maybe craters, or maybe structures. In some regions, strange heat signatures emerged, not on the sunny side, but in the dark. Too warm for natural exposure. Maybe volcanic heat, or maybe machines beneath the surface. Even stranger, some surfaces reflected light at odd wavelengths. Not random like minerals. No, these reflections were uniform. Metallic. Gridded. Engineered. It was no longer a question of whether Proxima B could support life. It became a question of whether life had once thrived there. civilization, technology, great structures rising from the surface, and maybe something still running even now. The thought raised more questions than answers. What happened to it all? Did the civilization collapse under its own weight? Did it hide, burying itself deep below the ground to escape some danger? Or is it still there, quietly watching, patiently waiting for a reason to return? But the most chilling discovery wasn't from what Webb saw. It came from what Webb didn't see. When the telescope studied the planet's air, it found something that made scientists lean forward in their seats. There were certain gases there, gases that, under normal conditions, destroy each other when they mix. If left alone, they can't exist together for long. They react, canceling each other out. Yet here, they did exist together. Not for a moment, not for a season, but over time, stable, steady, and perfectly balanced. On Earth, that kind of constant balance only happens because of life. Plants, animals, and microbes working together in a vast, unseen network keep our atmosphere in check. But this wasn't Earth. And here's the part that made the room fall silent: these gases weren't rare traces. They weren't hidden in tiny pockets of air. They covered the entire planet. Thick, consistent, and repeating over time. That isn't how nature works. Nature drifts. It shifts. It stumbles from one extreme to another. But this was different. It was as if something or someone was monitoring the atmosphere and adjusting it every moment. Like a hidden caretaker, making sure everything stayed exactly the same. Not natural. Not random. Precise. Rhythmic. Controlled. And if it's controlled, then whoever or whatever is doing it is still out there. Could it be tiny life hidden underground, living in water deep below the surface? Or strange algae growing with the weak and uneven light from its red dwarf star? Or maybe something much more advanced, like a machine or system made to change a planet's environment, keeping everything in balance. Whatever it wasn't sleeping. It was doing something. Right now. But when the data from Webb came in, scientists noticed something strange, something that didn't feel right. Everything looked too perfect. Webb's tools, which usually pick up the quiet background noise of the universe, heard nothing. No flashes of radiation. No small spikes in energy. No tiny crackles from storms in the air. Just silence. And it wasn't a mistake. The tools were working perfectly. Every check showed they were fine. But instead of the normal messy signals from space, there was nothing at all. It was like something had wiped the sky clean, removing every random signal and bit of static. Like turning to a page that should be full of marks and smudges, but finding it blank. As silence so perfect, it felt impossible. It wasn't a glitch. The instruments were working perfectly. But what they saw was an absence, like someone had erased the static. One astrophysicist said it felt like walking into an abandoned house where everything is still in place. No dust. No mess. Just a perfect, eerie stillness like someone had left only moments before. Others suggested Proxima B might be shielded, hidden behind a cloaking field that blocks emissions, either to protect it from its own volatile star, or to hide it from us. And then a new theory emerged. What if the silence is the message? Not a broadcast, not a transmission, but the kind of message you feel when you know you're not supposed to be somewhere. A silence that whispers, "You shouldn't be here." For years, Proxima B was just a whisper in the void, a planet orbiting our nearest stellar neighbor, cloaked in the flickering red light of a distant dwarf star. It was an enigma, more theory than truth. A speck in the data we dreamed might be Earth's twin, close enough to hope for, but always just beyond reach. Then came James Webb. When humanity's most powerful space observatory aimed its precision instruments at this elusive world, we braced for answers, perhaps confirmation of water, atmosphere, life. Instead, we found something far stranger. Astronomers, sifting through Webb's spectral data, turned to advanced AI systems trained on thousands of planetary templates to help decode the atmospheric readings. These weren't basic models. They could identify chemical compositions, geological formations, and atmospheric signatures with astonishing accuracy. But something unexpected happened. Instead of flagging random outliers, the AI began detecting repeating patterns. Not natural randomness, but symmetry. Fractal clusters. Ratios that echoed Earth's own biological and technological constants. To the scientists, it looked less like a planet's natural fingerprint and more like a language. At first, they blamed it on signal distortion, data hiccup. But when other independent models, using entirely different frameworks, picked up the same patterns, everything changed. One AI model even broke from its original programming. It abandoned its trained path and started building entirely new simulations. When researchers tried to understand why, the system returned a chilling message. Pattern recognized. Continuation required. The data hadn't just been read. It had triggered something. As the team mapped more of the planet's surface, something eerie took shape. Proxima B's terrain didn't mimic Earth's, but it echoed it. There were familiar curves, ridge patterns, even heat distributions that aligned with our own latitudinal climate zones. At first, scientists dismissed it as coincidence. But once they overlaid Earth's geological history onto the Proxima timeline, the parallels became impossible to ignore. One scientist in a closed-door session called it a delayed mirror, as if we were staring back at a version of ourselves millions or even billions of years out of sync. This sparked a deeper question. Was Proxima B part of a cycle? A repeating pattern in the evolution of intelligent life? Or had it been visited, just like Earth, by something ancient? Something that didn't just observe, but left behind blueprints? Then came the image that shattered every assumption. After hundreds of scans, countless filters, and layer after layer of data refinement, James Webb delivered a single snapshot so detailed, so precise that the entire mission team went silent. The public saw a terrain map. But behind the scenes, scientists saw something else. Near the twilight line, the terminator between night and day, Webb picked up heat patterns that were structured, not chaotic, not natural, but linear, angled, aligned with the planet's spin. The kind of alignment nature doesn't produce. It looked like infrastructure, not fresh, ancient, buried under time, eroded by dust and silence. And then at the center of it all, a perfect circle. 2.8 kilometers across. Smooth, symmetrical, too flawless to be a coincidence. Then came the final blow. Inside that structure, Webb's spectrometer detected traces of a material that does not exist on Earth. A composite engineered to scatter light in specific ways, effectively hiding it from certain wavelengths. It wasn't just alien. It was active. This wasn't just a planet that could support life. This was a planet where something once built, engineered, thrived, and it left behind a message so deeply encoded into the atmosphere, the terrain, and the very geometry of the world that only our most advanced machine, in the most precise moment, could decode it. James Webb didn't just take a picture of an exoplanet. It cracked open a mirror, and in that reflection, we saw more than rock and sky. We saw what might be our future, or a past too ancient to grasp. The alien compound, the buried symmetry, the AI reactive data. All of it points to one possibility. Proxima B wasn't just habitable. It was once inhabited, not by animals, not by simple life, but by something intelligent, something that built, that knew, that possibly watched the rise and fall of civilizations beneath a dying red sun before Earth had even cooled. But what's even more disturbing? The timing. For generations, we looked toward Proxima B and saw only darkness. Now, just as our technology peaks, the veil begins to lift, almost like it waited for us. Like every scan, every filter, every frequency Webb used wasn't random at all, but guided, as if whatever was buried there wanted to be seen. Maybe this wasn't a discovery. Maybe it was an invitation. Or worse, a warning. And that's it. Thanks for journeying with us through the stars. From Voyager's distant whispers to the mysteries revealed by the James Webb Space Telescope, we're only beginning to understand our place in the cosmos. If the universe has secrets left to tell, Spaceverse will be here to uncover them, one discovery at a time. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and keep looking up.